There's nothing like snook hook sets at dawn or catching a tarpon in the moonlight. Find your next fishing trip made easy on fishingbooker.com and experience the magic of the Sunshine State or any other destination on your fishing bucket list. Book a blue water adventure in search of sailfish or go snapper fishing with the kids. With over 6,000 captains and trips to choose from, planning your next one just got a whole lot easier. Download the Fishing Booker app on the Google Play or App Store, or visit them online at fishingbooker.com to book your trip today.
Maui Nui is on a mission to help balance axis deer populations for the good of our environment, communities, and food systems on the island of Maui. They've shared over 126,000 pounds of nutrient-dense protein with the Maui community. Secure your spot now. Become a Snack subscriber and join in helping to build more resilient food and ecosystems on Maui. Visit MauiNuiVenison.com. That's MAUINUI venison.com and use promo code BEAR for 20% off your first order.
I'm sure a lot of you guys remember the old ceremonial hunting tradition of eating the heart out of the first animal you kill. Meat from those organs are among the most nutrient-rich foods on the planet. You can get those same benefits your ancestors craved via convenient daily capsules from Heart and Soil. Find out more at heartandsoil.co. And remember, use code MeatEater for 10% off your purchase.
My name is Clay Newcomb, and this is a production of the Bear Grease podcast called the Bear Grease Render, where we render down, dive deeper, and look behind the scenes of the actual Bear Grease podcast. Presented by FHF Gear, American-made, purpose-built hunting and fishing gear that's designed to be as rugged as the places we explore. Welcome to the Bear Grease Render, everybody. I've got my wife, Dr. Misty Newcomb, here. We're going to start off things a little different today, Dad, with a kind of a sentimental song about the woods. Usually we'd come in pretty hot and sing some Johnny Cash or, something, but this is a little more laid back.
Have you ever wandered lonely through the woods? And everything there feels just as it should. Part of life there, you're part of something good. Have you ever wandered lonely through the woods? Ooh. Have you ever wandered lonely through the woods?
Ever stared into a starry sky, lying on your back and asking why? What's the purpose? I wonder who am I? If you've ever stared into a starry sky. To a starry sky.
Have you ever been
out walking in the snow? Tried to get back where you were before. You always end up not knowing where to go. Have you ever been out walking in the snow? right. All right.
Excellent.
We had Brent Reeves on the shaker. Brent, great to see you.
That's this needs to be identified as a wooden egg full of lead shot, I think.
Wooden egg full of lead shot. Great to see you, Brent.
Thank you, buddy.
To Brent's left, Ben Lagrone on the spoons. Good to see you. Good to see you, Ben. Thanks for coming. Man, on the render, we used to sing. I bet we used to sing. There was a time when my idea for the render was to have a live band here every single week.
Yeah,
I'm dead serious.
I remember.
No, I mean, not just me. I was going to try to have a live band here every single render to play. And it just didn't happen. But it's been a while since we've sang. If you're new to the Bear Grease Render, this is the Bear Grease podcast is a documentary style podcast. The Bear Grease Render is where we gather around every other week and talk about the actual Bear Grease podcast. Early on, the first year, we played music probably every 2 or 3 times. Not because we think we're good, but because we like to have fun.
Because we like to play.
As we said, our kids. So last night, my daughter, Misty, and I were practicing, and my daughter, who was in her room,
supposed to be asleep,
texted me and said,
"Hey, y'all sound great."
She said, "Yeah, y'all sound
really
great." And and there was a delay in the next text, and I was like, "Man, that's really nice." I was actually encouraged. I need a little encouragement from time to time with my music, and then the next text was, "How long are y'all going to be playing?" And then the next text said PTSD.
And she's talking about, we started playing during COVID, and that song was one of the first songs I ever learned to play on the banjo.
Is that right?
And that when Clay heard that song, he was like, "I think I can play the guitar." Like, it was so unimpressive.
Yeah.
He's like, "I could do that too."
I forgot I could play guitar.
Y'all missed the funniest thing I've said in years. Is when I found this egg, I thought Ben can sit on this. That's kind of like what he does, ain't it? Get hatch this out while y'all are playing.
I used to play spoons like, it's 2 separate spoons. That's like luxurious stuff right there.
Yeah, I kept waiting for you to do the old, however the flamenco deal,
yeah.
however that goes.
I've done that.
Are you a good spoon player, Ben?
I've
You a
played them
trained
before.
spoon player?
It's in my percussion repertoire.
Okay.
Nice.
Hey, Ben used to play for the Arkansas Razorbacks marching band. Did y'all know that?
Really? No.
Oh,
I did
yeah,
not.
that's right. That's why the percussion was coming so easy to you.
Yep.
Sometimes I feel like we should just go around and say the most astonishing facts about ourselves and our achievements that no one knows about. Like it seemed real important in high school, some of the things you did, and hasn't been
What
brought
would you
up
like
since.
to say?
I don't know. I mean,
Doctor.
yeah, weirdly, no. I was thinking more about, I'm trying to think of obscure facts. Clay likes to bring it from time to time.
Brent's whole podcast is obscure facts about his life.
I love Brent's
Hey,
podcast.
so Brent Reeves is here, Render Boy, Brent Reeves. And
Present.
Is that what we call him? Render Boy?
I laughed out loud. For real, this is no joke. And there's big potential for bias in me because you're my friend. I want you to succeed.
Right.
This country life is on the Bear Grease feet.
Right.
So there's like big question marks around whether my opinion is legit. However, I'm going to say it is because they're just as big of biases about being critical about just the work that we're doing.
Yeah.
So like I'm like very critical of you too.
Sure.
And so
How's that feel every morning?
Oh, it's all the time. The phone rings and I'm like, it's Clay. And I'm like, well, he's not asking me to go film him, so I am in trouble.
Yeah. So I feel like those two things balance out, like my love of you and wanting you to succeed, but also me scrutinizing your every word.
Yeah.
And I laugh out loud by myself almost every single time I listen to This Country Life. I really do. I mean, Brent is an astounding writer because and I've had, you could listen to some of Brent's stories and be like, how could all this have happened to one person?
Mm-hmm.
Which is a legitimate question. But I've been around Brent enough to know to hear him tell a story that even I was a part of. And it was like, Well, geez, I wouldn't have told it near that entertaining. So, I mean, I think Brent, it might seem like Brent has had like an exceptionally wild life. I think he's probably had a more wild life than most people,
Yeah.
but he's a really, really good storyteller and remembers detail and remembers stuff that other people don't. So I'm paying you a big compliment, but I'm
I appreciate
also
that, buddy.
drawing it. I'm also trying to make sense of it. But
Yeah.
no, your last one about 3 stories that didn't fit.
Yeah.
So the ethical qualms that I wanted to bring up was cursing in church. Did y'all hear that? Did you hear that?
That was
Dad?
the funniest of all the stories.
Yeah. Hunter, your son,
Yep.
hearing his father use foul language.
3 days before that. I mean, you would think of all the things that happened to a little fella in 3 days. I mean, it's everything he looks at in every direction, it's something new. You know, I mean, because he's just learning to talk and learning to hear and learning to pay attention to things that's going around him, you know. And of all the things that happened in that span of time, that was the one thing he keyed on. And in the one place he remembered it, he had a citywide audience because we were being broadcast on the radio that day. The church service was.
Mm-hmm. And then your buddy who shot Jesus.
Oh gosh, man, I have told that story so many times, and it always starts out it's like you do sometimes. You'll say, Brent, tell me a story, and I'm like, I ain't got one. You know, it's just things happen and that remind me of something. You know, we're riding down the road. That's when the best stories come out, when we're doing something else, and I'm like, oh gosh, I just saw a red bird. That reminds me of something. But if somebody points a pistol at me and says, tell me a story, I'm like, okay, I got a buddy that shot Jesus one time. I can tell you that story.
So it was a misfire. Like he didn't mean to.
He didn't. Yes, exactly. He didn't. He thought he had unloaded his gun. There's lots of lessons in that. You know?
Yeah.
He wasn't upset thinking he had shot Jesus. He had shot his pistol in his house.
Yeah, yeah.
A loaded firearm that he thought was unloaded.
Now, was he being funny when he?
No, he was very distraught.
But why did he say, I'm going to hell?
He took it. It was so a big burden on him. Now this guy had just gone to work as a police officer. He hadn't gone to the academy yet, so he had a big burden. And in the state of Arkansas, I'm not sure that rookies now are if it's the same way or not. But when we went to work, you had a year from the time you were hired by a department, and be under a field training officer, and then within that year span, sometime during that year, you had to go to the academy and pass that to go, back to work on the street and be a certified police officer. So he hadn't done that yet. So everything that he's learning from, the officers above him. And he was getting ready to go to work that night. And
He was quick drawing
practicing
a
his
revolver.
quick draw. Yeah, a revolver.
Was he pulling the trigger?
Well, apparently so.
Well, I mean, but I've got a story, but if a revolver, if you feel like it's unloaded and it's a double action, you pull the trigger, the hammer drops back and then fires.
Correct.
So, I mean, he must have been doing that.
Absolutely it was.
Yeah. Okay, Let me ask you a question.
Okay.
And if you have any other comments on this country life, now's the time. Have you ever accidentally discharged a firearm?
No.
Never.
Not once.
Never.
I take that back. Yes, I have. Turkey hunting.
Okay.
Yep.
See, I knew it.
What?
What happened?
Me and...
Brent, do you feel like you're being unfairly interrogated right now?
No.
Okay.
Because I could lie.
This is just a Tuesday.
I'm just watching the facial expressions here, trying to figure out what Clay's
I
after.
could have lied and said no, but
Okay.
I do recall a time, and it was a faulty. It was a Browning pump shotgun that had a broken safety. Me and another friend of mine had left going turkey hunting in the afternoon. We were walking down this road, and he said, "You bet we need to load up now because as soon as we step off in the woods, we got to sit down right there. There's a turkey. We knew where the turkey was at. So when I'm standing, I've got my barrel away from everybody. I went ahead and threw one in the magazine, from the magazine into the barrel, and as soon as its slide hit home, bam, it went off.
Really?
Yeah, and that wasn't my finger touching the trigger. And I didn't have my finger in the housing there.
Wow,
But
that's dangerous.
It went off. Yeah, absolutely did.
Ben, have you ever shot a firearm unintentionally?
No, I haven't.
Dad?
I shot a hole in my garage one time.
You did?
Yeah.
I vaguely remember that. It was after I was out of the house.
You know, it was in an area where that pegboard is, and the backside of it's all rock, you know, on the outside.
Uh-huh.
And it was pretty revealing, you know, how dangerous it is to play with firearms, you know.
What were you doing?
I was just cleaning my gun or something. I don't know. It was probably at 350. No, it couldn't have been a revolver. I don't know what it was, but boom.
So you intentionally pulled the trigger. You just didn't
Yeah.
think it was loaded.
Yeah.
You just thought you'd cocked it and are just going to kind of
Yeah, pretty stupid.
pull the trigger.
Pull the trigger, man.
Miss Newcomb, have you ever fired a gun on accident?
I have a story about a bow and arrow.
Okay.
So when we were all little, my brothers left my two middle. So I had 3 older brothers and then me, and my parents left the 2 middle brothers alone for the first time. And the oldest brother was kind of law and order, and he kept everything going. Well, I remember as we were pulling off, all of us felt a little bit nervous about the 2 middle brothers being home alone. I was the youngest sister, and I still knew this isn't a good idea. And as we pull out, my dad yells out the window, "Hey, don't play with BB guns while I'm gone." Like they were just, you could tell now as a parent, I know my parents were just thinking through all the things they could do to hurt themselves. So my brothers went back to their bedroom and got a bow and arrow. Now, it wasn't like a professional bow and arrow. We weren't bow hunters or anything. I don't even know what kind it was, but apparently it had an arrow that could go through a leather boot. We learned that because my second oldest brother shot my brother right above me in the foot with this arrow while we were gone.
It's stuck in his foot.
And when we pull up, we just see Ben like writhing in pain on the ground outside. Randy looking very scared to see my dad pull up. And
He's all out of arrows.
and there was the boot. They were trying to get the boot off, but it was in his skin, and so they were freaking out. And after that, I decided to never mess with anything. And so I was a good sister and always learned from my brother's mistakes. And so no, I have never. Not that I'm
Never
not
discharged the firearm?
No.
Hey, my compliments to him for not shooting the BB gun.
Yeah, they were just trying to keep it real.
Where are you going with this?
Well,
Have you?
I've got a story. One time, I remember Misty called me when I was away, and she said something's going on in the house. It was late at night. Do you remember this?
Oh, I remember. I remember.
And
the
it was
advice.
real. It was real scary to her. She thought somebody was in our house, and I wasn't there. And I don't remember the details at all, so I won't elaborate on them. I just remember telling her, it's totally fine if you just want to take that pistol and just fire off a round, just aim it right through the roof. Just shoot. I told her to do that, and she didn't. And it ended up like being, nothing. Do you remember that?
I vaguely.
I remember thinking what it would be. I put the roof on my house when we built it, and I remember thinking, it won't be too hard to
I can patch a hole
I
in
can patch that roof.
I
And
very
it-
clearly remember, but that's not. I don't remember it. I must have missed the part about the roof. I remember you telling me just get the pistol and just if anybody's in the house, just shoot. And I said, what if I miss? And we had just built the house.
Well,
and that
I
was
wasn't
what
telling
the
you to shoot somebody.
right. You weren't, but that's how I heard it. I was like, what if I miss? and
Shoot
you
again.
said, and you said, hey, just. You told me it's okay if you fire a bunch of holes in the sheetrock. And I just remember thinking that was really hard to put up. I don't.
Yeah.
We take intruders pretty serious around our place.
For real.
You better
Knock on the door. Pow.
text first. Come over. No, Dad, I've told you this story. Perhaps you won't remember the details of it, but I got a Ruger 44 Magnum 9-inch barrel Super Red Hawk for
Graduation.
It was a
something.
big
Yeah.
pistol. I was doing some hog hunting and was going to deer hunt with it. And one day I was setting out on public land hog hunting and just bored sitting on a log, and it's a double action revolver, and I was fiddling with the double action. Do you know what a double action is, Misty? It's a revolver, so you cock the hammer. But if you pull the trigger, the gun goes off. It's
I
just
like
that
the way
simple.
you talk down to the most highly educated person.
I do too. I like how that's my role in this.
Well,
in this.
the double action
We're
is
all
important
actors on
because
Life's
I
Great
was
Stage.
I was
And this is
cocking the
my role.
hammer with my thumb, click click, and pulling the trigger, but having my thumb on the trigger and letting it down softly, just kind of getting a feel for the trigger. And I had just done it so much, I just kind of got into like a comatose state. And I had that barrel laid across my leg, just like this right here. And at one point I didn't put my thumb on the trigger, and I just pulled the trigger, and it just boom.
Oh my
44
gosh.
mag. I mean, it was like a major thing. Like
oh
it
my
was
gosh.
and I probably never. I learned a lot from that. It left black marks on my pants.
Sure. On both
Black-
ends.
Do you remember that, Dad?
No, I don't.
You don't. I didn't tell you.
No, you
He's
didn't
like,
tell
I'm
me.
pretty
Well-
sure this story never made it to my ears.
I didn't tell you for a long time. I did tell you that eventually.
Okay.
Like
I feel like that's a story you'd remember.
He just drank that out of his mind.
anyway, it was not good. Not good at all.
How old were you?
I would have been like in high school.
That gum.
Yeah. So firearm safety, big theme in this country life. Okay. The other.
Hey, I got a call one time when I was a deputy sheriff. Here's a law enforcement story. Got a call one time. This lady said somebody shot my house, and so man, we're beating feet over there, see what's going on. And we go into this lady. She lives in a mobile home, and in the middle of nowhere, and she was in the laundry room ironing, and the deep freeze is in there, and laying on top of the deep freeze is a 45 round that's made a dent in the deep freeze, but it came straight down through the roof.
Oh,
Somebody shot that gun up in the air, and it came
No
down.
way.
Came through the roof, hit the deep freeze right beside where she was ironing.
Really?
Yeah,
Just the bullets laying there.
just the bullet. Yeah,
So it had lost enough velocity that it probably wouldn't have killed somebody.
it would have hurt.
Yeah.
I mean, it came through and it made a big dent in that deep freeze. And if it
Wow.
hit her in the top of the head,
This
it
is
could have.
this is like the side of the unsolved mysteries
Where
that
the
like
bullets
eventually comes out. Like there's somebody listening to this right now down around Warren, Arkansas. What county was it?
That was in Union County.
Union County, Arkansas. That's going, man, I let one fly. Yeah.
Yeah,
Straight up in the
I
air.
wondered where it came down.
Yeah. I've always felt like if you shot cuz like squirrel hunting, you're shooting 22 rounds in the air, and if you miss, like 22 rounds just going in the air. I've always felt like they would lose enough velocity that it would be like dropping a 22 round like out of an airplane, like it would just hit on the ground. Do you think that's true?
I don't think any of that's even close.
Hey, you remember me telling the story about shooting a game warden's house?
I do not remember that.
That's one story that I didn't hear about.
Well, it's not quite as dramatic as that introduction, but whoa!
I've got a story I hadn't told you. You got a story you can tell me. We'll trade.
Once you hear it, you'll remember it. But the game warden lived right next door to me, and his house burned. He moved mobile home in, and I was out shooting my bow in the backyard, and I missed my target, and it hit a rock and flew right in the back of his trailer. And so I went and knocked on his door, and I said, "Man, I got some bad news for you." He was really nice about it. So anyway, I appreciated that.
So-
Robert Ball,
Really?
nice guy.
And you just pulled the air out?
Yeah,
Did
yeah.
do you have to repair it?
No, it was a little low, and you didn't notice it much.
Yeah.
Just a
But
flesh
his
wound.
wife, we had to call the ambulance for his wife. Not really.
So if you own somewhere around Hot Springs, Arkansas, a 1964 double wide with a small arrow hole in it, it may have been that mobile home.
That's right.
That's funny. That's funny. Okay, the other thing, I listened to I got caught up on This Country Life this week, and so your story of chasing the school bus in a truck.
How about that?
I mean, that's crazy, Brent. You must have been a wild kid.
Man, I just have wild ideas, and it didn't take me long to decide.
Were you not
on something.
afraid that your dad would have?
I wasn't scared of nothing.
Did your dad not?
Man, I
put
had
the
lived
fear
my
of God
life.
in you?
I told you, I've been on Spencer's Meat Eater Trivia twice, and when I sit out in that chair, I know I'm fixing to win. I have got a total of 4 questions right out of 20 of the 2 times I've been on there.
Yeah,
But when I sit,
unusual amount of undeserved confidence.
but when I sit down there, I think, man, I ain't fixing to kick everybody's butt in here. I never walked up to the plate. I didn't think I wasn't going to hit a home run. I hit 1 in Little League. I had no reason to think that.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't lack for self-confidence.
But when you were 9 years old, taking your dad's truck and chasing the school bus.
The only thing I could think of was me passing that school bus and throwing them the deuces as I went by and barely looking over the steering wheel.
Crazy. Wow. You know what? A dream of mine, and I'm going to cast this out there, and this will hopefully get back to who I want it to get back to.
Okay.
I want to have Tim Reeves on this podcast.
He's a better storyteller than I ever was.
Will he do it?
Nope.
Yeah, he will. Tim,
Eventually,
come to the Bear Grease Render podcast. We won't embarrass you.
And just for clarity, Tim is Brent's brother.
Yeah,
he's in all these stories.
But you just talked about his dad, just making sure everybody knows it's brother, not father.
Yeah.
Yeah,
We got to get.
Why won't he come?
He will come.
He's the best storyteller in the world, and we get like.
I don't even want him to tell. I don't even want him to talk. I just want him to sit there.
When we would sit around at the duck camp and talk, he was just spitting out one story after another. My buddy that taught me that started me in outdoor video would grab a camera and set it up, and Tim was like, he forgot how to talk. He had a stroke or something. He's just like, he just freezes up, man.
Yeah, this is not what I believe about Tim. Tim would be great. Tim, you're invited. Please come.
There you go.
Ready to win Mother's Day and cement your reputation as the best gift giver in the family? Give the moms in your life an Aura digital picture frame preloaded with decades of family photos. She'll love looking back on these memories and seeing what you're up to today. Even better, with unlimited storage and an easy-to-use app, you can keep updating mom's frame with new photos, so it's the gift that keeps on giving. And this is not a joke. Juju Newcomb has an Aura frame, and we share photos, and they're incredible. Also, my mother-in-law has one. We have them. They truly are really good, really high quality. The Aura frame is easy to set up. It takes just 2 minutes to set up a frame using the Aura app. It also adjusts the display depending on light levels in the room to maintain the true color of your photos. For real, the digital screen is amazing. Right now, Aura has a great deal for Mother's Day. Listeners can save on the perfect gift by visiting auraframes.com to get $30 off plus free shipping on their best-selling frame when you use code BEAR, B-E-A-R, BEAR. That's auraframes.com. Use code BEAR at checkout to save. Terms and conditions apply. I've had a Helix Sleep mattress for over 2 years, and it is for sure the nicest mattress that I've ever slept on. I've slept much better in the last 2 years, been more comfortable than I have for my whole life, and that's true. The Helix lineup offers 20 unique mattresses, including the award-winning Luxe Collection, the newly released Helix Elite Collection, a mattress designed for big and tall sleepers, and even a mattress made just for kids. Take the Helix Sleep Quiz and find your perfect mattress in under 2 minutes, and your personalized mattress is shipped straight to your door free of charge. Helix has several different mattress models to choose from, each designed for specific sleep positions and feel preferences. Helix is offering 20% off all mattress orders and 2 free pillows for our listeners. Go to helixsleep.com/clay and use the code HelixPartner20. This is their best offer yet and won't last long. With Helix, better sleep starts now. The old-timers say that the turkeys start gobbling when the leaves are as big as squirrels' ears and the red buds start popping. And we're about there.
And we are there in the South. The onX Hunt app is one of my most valuable tools in the spring woods. With tools like coniferous versus deciduous tree distribution layer, you can save time by locating edges or transition areas of mixing habitats from home. Find an area like this with water in close proximity, and more than likely, there will be a goblin turkey nearby. Knowing the exact boundaries of private ground ensures I stay on the right side of the fence, but can easily find public ground to go see if I can't strike a gobbler. If you do get one to sound off, using compass mode and waypoints will help you pinpoint his exact location, allowing you to move in and make the perfect setup to bring him right into your lap. Download the onX Hunt app today. You'll be glad you did. onX has a special offer for you. Use code BEARGREASE to receive 20% off your membership at onxmaps.com/hunt this spring.
Hey, let me tell you my favorite story from this country life lately. Brent's retirement story.
Oh, yeah.
That was
big.
Shep is the one that told me to listen to it.
Really?
Shep Newcomb did. Yeah, he listened to it. He and Clay were on the way to ball practice, and they didn't finish it. He went to ball practice. He came out and he said, "Dad, can we finish up that podcast?" And so they came in and they said, "You should really listen to this when Brent's going to retire." I guess did you recorded it before you retired?
I did.
Like the week before you retired, so
the
you
week
weren't retired.
before, yeah.
Anyway, so I listened to it that day, and yeah, it was very touching, Brent. That was
Is that where he went over the fence?
yep.
Yeah,
Oh, we get the lady
that
out
was
of the
really
house.
good. That was really good, man. I tell you what I would have done. I would have called in sick.
Yep. Yeah, somebody had to go in there.
How's
So-
it feel to be
It's kind of surreal.
yeah,
You know, that's a big responsibility that I carried for
a long time?
32 years, and it feels good. It's strange though. It's just a little weird. You know, and I told Alexis, you know, Bailey, who's 11, she's so much younger than my other two children, Amy and Hunter, who they were
there.
aware
Yeah.
of the things that I was doing and the stuff I was going through, and it was hard. And I told Alexa, I said, I don't want Bailey to ever even know anything about that stuff that I used to do. And she says, I think that's wrong. She needs to know what her daddy did. So when she gets older, you know, maybe she can learn some of that kind of stuff. But she's probably right. She probably does need to know eventually, because that gives kind of an excuse of why I'm so crazy. But yeah,
No.
it's been a lot of. It's been pretty wild.
Yeah. Well, cool. No, I love it. I love it.
Thank y'all very much.
Yeah,
Ben.
it was good.
What you got there on the floor?
This is the deer.
Let me see that thing. I hadn't even touched it yet.
That is
Golly, he's got
heavy
some good
horn.
mass. So Ben killed the biggest buck
buck
you've
of my
ever
life.
killed.
Yep. On September 23rd, 2023.
Whoa.
Man.
Opening day
Hey, that
of-
deer's
of,
more
oh,
impressive
that's
than
opening
what I
day.
saw on video or the photo I saw. Just the mass.
Yeah.
Like that was, you can tell a lot. You can't judge a whitetail entirely based upon mass, but you can tell quite a bit about their age, just maturity level. Maybe not fine tuning it, but I mean that's for sure a 4.5-year-old plus deer for
Well, he totes it out
around
to
here.
the end, doesn't he?
Yeah, it's a 10-point.
Don't you know how much he scored? Have you already scored?
No, I hadn't scored it. I mean, yeah,
Are you going to score it today?
no, we did.
I don't know. Might as well. I don't know.
You could. You'll always be disappointed when you
Yeah.
score one, so just
I'm
don't.
kinda-
Let's just guess.
That's kind of where I've been. Is like I don't want to taint my perspective of it.
Well, scores, so back in the day, I mean, back when
That's a good
American
deer.
hunting television started in the 90s, late 80s, man, if you saw the cover of a VHS tape at Walmart that said 140-inch buck by Bo, you were just like, holy cow, I want to
Yeah.
see that. 150 for sure. They would be like, man, I mean, and those were big numbers. I don't really understand what's happened. There are more 140s, 150s, and bigger deer, but
That's a good
more
deer.
people have cameras, more people are filming, and in the outdoor industry, there's just a lot more 160, 70, 80, 90, 200-inch deer being killed on film. But a 140-inch buck is still just as hard to kill and still just as elusive. Like in my hunting locally, like I hunt 140-inch deer about once every 8 years.
Yeah.
Just the truth. I mean, I have hunted some good deer in the last several years, but I say that to say a deer like that I wouldn't even score because it won't score 140.
Right.
So it might as well just
say
That's
it's
a
a one.
dandy.
You think it's a 160.
yeah. I would just say it's probably in the ballpark of 160.
But it was the story that meant so much to me, and just how the stars aligned
Yeah,
with all that
Tell us
stuff.
about it.
Well, even just this place I'm hunting is some private land that I've been picking up the phone and writing letters, trying hard to find a place for me and my little girls to hunt. It was like winning the lottery. Like I couldn't believe that they called me after getting my letter. This summer I was scouting and put cameras up, and this is one of the first bucks on camera.
Really?
And I just thought, and he was consistent. I mean, almost daily. And it was just like, is this too good to be true? Like I write this letter, I'm hunting this land. This is the first buck I see. I talked to Jessica, my wife, and I was like, listen, he's so consistent. If I stay out there all day on opening day, like he will die. There's no way I'm not going to see him. I stay all day. So I get out there opening day, and it's like 90 degrees. I don't know if you remember how hot it was. It was so hot. And I saw does just all day. Came back out around 4 o'clock and thinking like, man, I can't believe this buck hasn't come. Just like so many of those hunts, it was right at dusk that these 4 doe come out. And they come up, and all of a sudden, it's like I had a neon flashing light on me, and they just got so nervous. And they all were working me and stomping their feet and all that jazz for probably about 20 minutes.
Oh, really?
I was just so nervous. I was like, I really hope the buck doesn't come out right now when these doe are about to. Sure enough, I see 3 bucks come in from the thicket. And let me tell you this. I know where this buck sleeps. I know where he eats. I mean, I know his schedule and where this guy's at. He comes up from the thicket, and I'm just thinking, golly, while these doe are on me. And
so you can see him coming.
He's coming. And the doe start walking away. They were spooked. Like, not to the point of running, but they're just like, I don't like this guy. And he comes in to feed while she's still kind of spooked at me. And I just got nervous. Like, I didn't want to wait around too long. And it was dusk. And so he was slightly quartered toward me, not preferable, but I knew I needed to take a shot. Well, I shot and I did hit him. I knew I hit him, but the way he behaved, I thought, I don't know if I hit him real great. He ran 20 yards and looked around with his little buddies beside him. And then he just turned up this mountain that I'm on, and he just ran 100 yards, and I watched him run
uphill.
Uphill. I mean, sprinted. I thought, oh no. Well, 8 minutes later, I hear him crash. Well, I got down and checked my arrow, and it was 100% a gut shot. And I was like, golly. To make things crazier with it not only getting dark, is we've got a massive thunderstorm coming in about 30 minutes. And me and my oldest daughter, go out, just right at dawn. And we searched high and low that area where he was at. We couldn't find blood. We couldn't find anything.
But it had rained.
And it had poured.
The blood trail's gone.
Right. We searched for 2 hours up on that mountain. And then I went down to the thicket where I know he beds. I thought that's not where he'd go, and there'd be water flowing. Looked around a bit, and I knew that'd be like a needle in a haystack. And my friend Matt Taylor, he knows a guy with a dog. So he comes out, and he was actually confident about the rain. He said that when the deer are dying, that there's a pheromone that releases through their hoof, and the rain actually kind of spreads it out a bit. And he said his dogs tracked after rain all the time. I was like,
Really?
okay.
I just learned something.
Yeah, exactly. Well, anyway,
I've got some comments on that here in a minute.
Yeah.
Shut up.
He gets out there, and the dog, she picked up his trail from where I shot all the way up the mountain, and then she got real confused. And he said it's probably because we were walking around so much.
Yeah.
So
That's what they all say.
Yeah, I was like, that's a great excuse. Well, he stayed out there. We searched for hours. We worked that mountain, and then I convinced him to go down to the thicket. We tried the thicket and couldn't find him. And I was pretty devastated. It was just like, I don't know what to do next. meat's gone, and this thicket is bad. It's so thick. Well, anyway, I slept on it. Woke up Monday morning. I said, I'm going to take a day off work, and I'm going to go search that thicket, every inch of it. He's got to be there. He's got to be dead. He's got to be on this 80 acres that I'm hunting. So I literally get to that thicket and zigzag it in a perfect, systematic way. I'll show you my Onyx trail later, Brent and Gary, of where I walked.
I was going to ask if you used Onyx to
I'll show you. It'll
so
make
you walked
sense.
a real grid.
I mean, it was crazy.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, it's now like almost evening, and I thought, you know what? I'm going to go walk to the total opposite end of the property. I'm going to make a big circle. I'll go over the mountain again, and then I'll go to this fence line I know of, and this fence line, it splits the woods up where this farmer lets his cattle sometimes go, and so it's real wide open woods. And then on my left will be my thick woods that I think he's in. Well, on those rare looks to the right, about 150 yards, I see a giant vulture. And I thought, I think I just spooked that vulture. And so I turned, started walking, and another one. I was like, they're eating something big. I start running, and there's another vulture, and sure enough, that was him.
Wow.
And he ran from where I shot about 450 yards based on the route he took. By the crow flies, it was 250, 300 yards.
Right.
And so that's where I got him. It was a story of perseverance, because I'm the kind of person that's like, I don't like taking no for an answer.
Yeah.
And when I woke up Monday, it was like, do I really need to spend a day doing that? But it's like, that's just what I've got to do. I know he's there.
You know,
And sure enough,
the
that's
thing
where he
about a
ended up.
gut shot animal is that that's a mortal wound, so that animal's gonna be dead. You know, but yeah, that's a bummer. You couldn't find it, but
Yeah, because he had a lot of meat. It was huge.
yeah.
Definitely the biggest deer I've ever
I've
seen.
talked to a guy. I've talked to two people in the last couple of weeks that have used drones to recover deer. Yeah, it was actually a guy in Missouri that had shot a deer, and he told me, and I said, and he talked to me about what happened, and I was like, "How'd you find it?" And he said, "Well, I had trouble finding it, but I used a drone." And I actually was like, in the back of my mind, was wondering if that was legal.
Yeah.
And because you can't use drones for hunting, but it's totally 100% legal in Missouri. You might, I don't know every state, but there are actually companies, there are people that are licensed drone operators that have businesses. And he called a, like drone operator company to come, and they charge like $400 just to show up and $100 if they find the deer. I read on their
Wow.
Facebook page. So they paid him $500, and they found that deer just like that.
Really?
His deer had run 950 yards from where he'd shot it.
Man, I can
But he
buy a
recovered
nice
it. He
drone for
recovered it
$500
really quickly.
This is my Onyx route.
Holy
So
cow.
that's my ladder stand. That's that thicket, and he was way over here.
Nice.
It's pretty
You gotta
crazy.
take a picture of that. That is
Let me
Yeah,
see
yeah.
them.
nowhere
you were
near
all
where you
around
thought
there.
he was.
Nowhere near.
Yeah.
And that all that blue is that thicket.
Holy cow, you covered it, didn't you?
Ready to win Mother's Day and cement your reputation as the best gift giver in the family? Give the moms in your life an Aura digital picture frame preloaded with decades of family photos. She'll love looking back on these memories and seeing what you're up to today. Even better, with unlimited storage and an easy-to-use app, you can keep updating mom's frame with new photos, so it's the gift that keeps on giving. And this is not a joke. Juju Newcomb has an Aura frame, and we share photos, and they're incredible. Also, my mother-in-law has one. We have them. They truly are really good, really high quality. The Aura frame is easy to set up. It takes just 2 minutes to set up a frame using the Aura app. It also adjusts the display depending on light levels in the room to maintain the true color of your photos. For real, the digital screen is amazing. Right now, Aura has a great deal for Mother's Day. Listeners can save on the perfect gift by visiting auraframes.com to get $30 off plus free shipping on their best-selling frame when you use code BEAR, B-E-A-R, BEAR. That's auraframes.com. Use code BEAR at checkout to save. Terms and conditions apply. The old-timers say that the turkeys start gobbling when the leaves are as big as squirrels' ears and the red buds start popping.
and we're about there, and we are there in the South. The onX Hunt app is one of my most valuable tools in the spring woods. With tools like coniferous versus deciduous tree distribution layer, you can save time by locating edges or transition areas of mixing habitats from home. Find an area like this with water in close proximity, and more than likely, there will be a goblin turkey nearby. Knowing the exact boundaries of private ground ensures I stay on the right side of the fence, but can easily find public ground to go see if I can't strike a gobbler. If you do get one to sound off, using compass mode and waypoints will help you pinpoint his exact location, allowing you to move in and make the perfect setup to bring him right into your lap. Download the onX Hunt app today. You'll be glad you did. onX has a special offer for you. Use code BEARGREASE to receive 20% off your membership at onxmaps.com/hunt this spring. We've all seen plenty of gadgets and fads come and go, but here's one product that stood the test of time: Seafoam motor treatment. Lots of hunters and anglers know that Seafoam helps engines run better and last longer. It's really simple. When you pour it in your gas tank, Seafoam cleans harmful fuel deposits that cause engine problems. I'm talking common stuff like hard starts, rough engine performance, or lost fuel economy. Seafoam is an easy way to prevent or overcome these problems. Just pour a can in your gas tank and let it clean your fuel system. You probably know someone who's used a can of Seafoam to get their truck or boat going again. People everywhere rely on Seafoam to keep their trucks, boats, and small engines running the way they should the entire season. Help your engine run better and last longer. Pick up a can of Seafoam today at your local auto parts store or visit seafoamworks.com to learn more.
I'm gonna say something here, and it's everybody knows how pro I am of hound hunters and hounds. Love hounds. Grew up running dogs. I'm gonna throw this out there for the dog tracking community to I don't know, just a charge. I've rarely when people tell me they're gonna call a dog, I'm just like, good luck. And it's not the dog's fault. It's not the handler's fault. And if some of my friends that have dogs and have tracked deer for me hear this, brothers, know that I love you. Every dog handler I know is training a pup. Was your guy training a pup?
No.
Are you sure?
Well, not with us.
But it was a younger dog that he hadn't run or something.
Well, no, it was a veteran dog.
Okay.
And he told me a story that's like identical circumstance.
Okay.
But
everybody, I'm always going with training a pup.
Yeah.
And then they want you to get out. And see, this is where the story gets. This is where it's tough. You call a dog guy, and he's like, "Well, stop looking." And you got to stop looking and wait till he gets there. And that's where I think most people mess up, because you should have just kept looking. Do you see what I'm saying?
I hear you.
I mean, anyway, so I've got a little bit of a qualm with dog trailing. Not that there's anything wrong with it, but just
Britt and I are very nervous.
I mean, I love them. I know lots of good dog trailing guys, but I just haven't seen them.
Didn't someone help you catch one?
Yeah, and I've used them before.
Mm-hmm.
I've used them before, but yeah.
I think what you're trying to say is it's not like the
It's
perfect
not a guarantee.
savior.
It's not. I'm not. Yeah, that's a good. Thank you.
I got
Ben.
my hopes up. I got my hopes way too high.
Yeah, if you've never been around the recovery, and people are going to write me and they're going to be upset with me. I'm just telling you.
I'm thinking
I've
about
hunted my whole life, and when they say you're calling a dog, you're in trouble. And it's not the
here's what you
dog's
should
fault.
do.
You know? Do you know what I'm saying?
I know. Here's what you should say: practice shooting better.
Yeah.
Amen.
Yeah.
Put the dog trailers out of business. Make good shots.
Yeah.
Well, and I think too, if you're referring to people calling a dog almost as a last resort,
And it is.
is it causation or correlation? You know, like these things are correlated.
Great
that the
point.
dog doesn't, but the deer is pretty good and lost. Something's wrong.
Yes, that's a great.
And so people
that is
call
a great point.
dogs in bad circumstances.
Exactly. That's you're
Excellent.
exactly right.
PhD right there.
Right.
There it
Coming
is,
to
there
the
it is.
surface.
Yeah. It's just not a guaranteed thing.
Right.
It's just not a guaranteed
You've
thing.
walked
Yeah,
all
Heath
over
High
the
couldn't
tracks,
answer
and
that
now
any
you want a
better.
dog
Yeah.
to find it.
Yeah,
And he's going to end up at Walmart in the
fact,
grocery section.
I'm kind of
Yeah.
mad at the hunters, and I'm so pro dog right now that I'm kind of mad.
No.
Yeah, I mean, it's my fault for gut shotting it. It wasn't his. That's true.
Yeah. Well, Brent, what was your favorite deer story of this episode?
KC's story was good. I mean, I've heard him tell that one before. You know, that was good. And
When you rattled that buck in, you can watch that on their YouTube channel.
Yeah, it's a good, and there's
Well,
a
it's
lot
on the
of
Meat Eater YouTube channel.
Mm-hmm. It's a good story, and he tells it so well. I mean, he's very enthusiastic about it. But as far as my absolute 100% favorite, I like yours was great.
Come on.
I really liked that. That was a good story. And
Of killing the deer and the coyote?
the coyote and the deer was good.
Which one is it?
It's
Which
it's that double white throat patch up there high
yeah.
on the right.
up
Awesome.
yonder?
Yeah.
That is pretty, isn't it?
That's a good story.
Better than Mr. Henry's story?
Mr. Henry's great, and I don't know that I could pick a favorite out of him because there's a lot of differences in them, you know, and even the dog hunting story, you know, I identified that. We used to have dogs, running dogs, and deer dogs, but we didn't have walkers. We had beagles. I was telling somebody the other day about, they was like, man, you know, them walker dogs are pushing those deer by you so fast, you know, it's like a quick draw. You know, it's like a shooting gallery out there. And I was like, man, we had beagles. And we'd I remember sitting on the stand one time, and these beagles, you can hear them coming out there, and they sound like, you know, miniature hound dogs. And they had logged in this place where we were hunting the winter before. So and it had been wet, so there was some deep skitter ruts in there. And you could hear them beagles coming, but they was, and then you hear them, no,
Going down in the skidder.
And I thought, what in the world is that? And I got to looking out there, and I could see like 100 yards. You could see them all together coming across the top of the ground, and boom, they disappeared. You could just barely hear them.
That's great.
Falling in the skidder ruts. But I anything with dogs, man, you know, I'm all about that.
Mm-hmm.
But Mr. Henry is that guy's a legend. I'm surprised I hadn't already heard about him.
Yeah.
But
Ben, which one stood out to you?
Well, the dog one was my favorite, and I'll tell you what. Yeah, because I saw my granddad deer hunted in the 1930s and 40s on horseback when there's hardly any deer in Arkansas, and that was the way they hunted. And so I've just grown up hearing those legends, and then that's how my dad started out hunting too. And so I've never got to experience that. So when I hear those stories and relate them to what I hear my granddad talking about growing up, it's like it helps me experience that. And when they talked about killing those 3 bucks,
Yeah.
it's like I could just feel like how epic that would have been,
Yeah.
and how the camaraderie.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's like wow, like all these guys bringing all these big. I mean, that had to have been just such a huge day for all of them
Yeah.
involved. So I really enjoyed that story. But all of them were good.
There were so many unwritten rules about that too. Like the camp next door had dogs, and their dogs run a deer in front of us, and if we killed a dog or killed a deer in front of their dogs, we gave them half the deer.
Mm-hmm.
That was just, it might as well like one of the 11th commandment.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody did that.
Mm-hmm.
Lots of stuff like that, and it would just make for good neighbors.
Yeah. Dad, which one stood out to you?
Well, obviously, I liked yours the best, but if I hadn't raised you, I would probably, you know, I like the 200-inch buck because it's so unusual. I mean, that's just like a freak story. I mean, how many guys in America has killed a 200-inch buck?
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's in a category all by itself. But Mr. Henry,
Holy
holy smokes, I saw that picture of his room.
Yeah.
That was epic.
I've never seen a room like that before.
Yeah.
I mean, this guy's killed more bucks than I've ever even thought about.
Yeah.
And, you know, for him to still be going at age 80, I mean, like, you know, we tracked some of the same periods, you know. I'm 75, he's 80. He could hunt, I couldn't. And so I see what he did, and I mean, I'm like in awe of this guy.
Yeah.
I mean, he's like, did you say he was a legend? Should have been a legend. We should have known about. I mean, you know, I don't think there's many people in the whole country that can match what him and his son did.
Yeah. Yeah, I was shocked. Like, so one of my friends, Tracy Jones, over in East Tennessee, had said, "Hey, there's a guy you got to meet over here in the mountains," and I knew nothing of this guy other than just what my friend had told me, and so I went over there, and I didn't know what I was expecting, but that's not what I was expecting.
Mm-hmm.
Henry let us in his house, and that video actually did not show the entire room. There were walls behind me that were full of big deer.
The
too.
video you talking about you put on Instagram.
Yep.
Yeah.
Hey, I
Yep.
loved it. You probably told the story better than the story really was about the guys accusing him and his son of
Oh, yeah.
shooting at night.
Yeah, yeah.
And he said, "Well, hey man, they're hard enough to kill in the daylight."
He said,
That's funny.
they're hard enough to kill in the daytime. I can't imagine trying to kill them at night with a bow. Yeah. No, the other thing is that those are all, I didn't say it, but those are almost all public land deer.
Yeah.
Now,
That's
a lot of the
incredible.
biggest ones came from Illinois. You know, they have gone to Illinois for 30 years and have, but they were never outfitted hunts, and he's just done a lot. But a neat guy. He just vibrated with excitement talking to him, for real.
You know, most older people you talk to, their deer story is, "I've killed so many deer, I don't care about doing it anymore."
Right.
So when you find a guy like that, that is so unique in itself that he's still fired up at 70. Now I'm 75 and I'm still fired up.
Yeah.
Just as much as I was when I was 35. I dream about getting out, but after this knee surgery, I found other hobbies
Yeah.
that I like. It's easier.
Yeah.
I found hobbies that I don't have to climb mountains. I don't have to climb trees. I don't have to worry about odor. I just go out and enjoy my hobbies. So,
Yeah.
but I can't help it. I'm going to be back in the woods at some time.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, the other thing, and I captured some of this on video, that it doesn't really translate into putting it on social media that easy, but Mr. Henry has designed a tree stand that he's used for 30 years. He has a unique tree stand that's all his own design.
Really?
That's real lightweight and compact, and that he uses. He has he built an electronic deer cart for hauling deer. You know, once he got older and was hunting that far back in the mountains, he needed a cart. And man, that part of the world is incredibly
I've been there.
rough.
It's
They
tough.
got big mountains too. I mean, he was
real.
talking about those little boomer chipmunk squirrels being over 5,000 feet. I mean, that's a high mountain with big relief. Like, you know, if you're in Denver, Colorado, and you talk about a 5,000-foot mountain, it might be flat. I mean, you know, the relief means how much mountain is actually there. But out there, 5,000-foot mountain might have 4,000 feet of relief. I mean, that's a big mountain.
Yep.
You know, one
Point
thing
being.
he said that caught my attention, you're talking about 5,000 feet, you're talking about going deep in the wilderness, but he at least once said he went back, you know, an hour.
Yeah.
I'm thinking about places that you and I've hunted. I mean, it's an hour and a half, 2 hours.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I don't know. Maybe the road, I don't know. But I don't question this guy at all. I mean, anyway, I mean, he is like my new hero.
Yeah. What did you think about Aaron Stanfield's confession?
That was a funny story. You know what I thought about with that? I was like, you know, when you're watching a sitcom and you're like kind of chuckling and laughing, and you kind of, if you ever stop and be like, if somebody did that in real life, like that,
It wouldn't be funny.
It wouldn't be funny, and you wouldn't. Yeah, you're like, nobody would actually do that. That's how it felt like listening to the story. It's like, oh my gosh, he really did that.
Well, I would say the best thing that he did was he told the story.
Yep.
I mean, if he, and I think he really was like, he was paying penance by just like telling the story.
Well, I'll tell this story just because it's funny. Because I don't feel guilty about it at all. But
You're going to tell us one.
But you mentioned my brother earlier, Tim. We have shared everything together. He's 8 years older than me. Man, he is absolutely
He'll be on the Bear Grease Render next week.
He is absolutely my hero to this very second. Always has been. He took me hunting when he should have been left me at home because I was more in the way than a help. But he took me.
Me
with
and him have a lot in common.
He took me with him, and we shared everything except turkeys. You know, he would go listen, and I would go listen. I'd call him that night. Did you hear a turkey this morning? Nope. Did you hear one? I heard 3. Nope. I didn't hear anything. And gone so far as to he's like, I'm not hearing anything down here at the river. I'm going to go somewhere else. I would go so far as to take a turkey foot I had dried out and make tracks where I knew he was going to see him. He's like, man, I got some sign down here and I cannot hear this turkey. I'm like, bro, just hang in there. He's in there. You got to lay with it just to keep him off of my spot. So
Okay, so this is no different than what Aaron
it's
did.
exactly the same thing.
Even
And
more links that you're going to.
There was no holds
Plant the
barred when
sign.
it came to turkeys. Now, deer wasn't that big a deal for me and him, so we were actually scared we was going to kill a deer. Didn't have to mess with it while we were hunting. So we deer hunted to keep us busy till duck season started. So I get it. I know where they're coming from. I don't know why he fessed up to it, but because you can go to heaven with that on your conscience, surely. I hope. I hope so. If St. Peter's a turkey hunter, I am good to go.
I thought his story of killing the 2 bucks in Kansas was really good too.
Yeah,
They
apart.
it just sounds so easy.
Yeah.
All those were very, very good stories. Every one of them, just unbelievable. Most of them.
Well, we've done 3 Deer Stories podcasts, and just full disclosure, part of the Deer Stories thing is a function of the amount of work that it takes to do a documentary style podcast.
Yep.
And in the fall, we're hunting, we're traveling, we're doing stuff, and so the Deer Stories is a way for me to collect stories, and I love them just as much as the documentary style podcast.
Oh, that's
honestly,
good stuff.
I think it's a change of pace for people, and I really enjoy them. But we're about to start learning stuff again. Sorry, guys, y'all are gonna actually have to listen and
Cool back
pay
in.
attention and not have any more fun. We're just like it's gonna be like a militant journey through American history, culture, deep dives into yourself. We're going to be digging up our own issues, looking at the world. You ready, Misty?
Hey, I'm just saying, I know about a couple of these. It's going to be a good little run.
Yeah.
Sweet.
Oh gosh, I wish
Yeah.
I could tell you what I'm working on. I've got 3 things I'm working on.
It's
right
a wonder
now.
you hadn't. 'Cause you were bad
Foreshadowing.
about that.
I have a funny story about Bear, our son, who's had an incredible deer season so far.
Yeah.
He's gone out and sought a lot of land and done a lot of scouting and has good public land options, and he's good at recruiting people to come with him. So there's a little crew of guys that goes out and they go out and hunt, and then he's also good at bringing them back to help him process his deer. He does a great job of that, and he was telling us about one of his friends. One of his friends has a romantic interest. I think this is an okay story to tell. I don't think I'm disclosing anything, and has been less interested in helping Bear process venison this year.
This too shall pass.
And Bear said they have a group chat, all these guys, and Bear texted and said, "Hey, you've not been as into deer hunting this year. What's going on? I think your priorities are a little skewed this year." And the guy writes back on the thread to all the guys, and he said, "Bear, one day you'll understand when your priorities change." And Bear, in front of all of us, we're all processing. We had like a little meat processing party, and Bear very adamantly and boldly said, "My priorities will never change."
Boy's gonna eat that.
And I told my mom, and she said, "You need to record that somewhere."
Yes, yes.
So,
Yeah, the same.
here's
the
where it's
same
recorded.
thing. The same reason you were processing the deer is the same thing that's going to happen to bear one day.
I haven't heard that one.
yeah, he said it. We had a good laugh.
Strangely, I think Bear will have his life management skills down enough that he will be able to maintain high levels of integrity in both categories.
Well, I looked at him and I said, Bear, I'm pretty sure your priorities are going to change. And he said, well, what I'm saying, and he started backpedaling a little bit. And he said, I'm just saying that I think that my priorities will be such that it can accommodate both. And I
See-
will not have to cut back on any deer hunting.
Yeah.
I'm telling you right now, Bear needs to cut back on his deer hunting. I work at a school. His priorities are not quite what they should be right now.
yeah.
But he's had a very successful hunting season.
That's funny.
That's good.
That's
stuff.
good. That's good. Well, hey, thank you guys so much. Ben, congratulations on the big buck.
Thanks.
Brent, This Country Life, man, it's going awesome.
Thank you, buddy.
Hey, I will tell you this. I will foreshadow a touch here.
Here we go.
Brent Reeves and I are fixing to do a Mississippi River expedition.
Oh, the cat's out. The catfish is out of the bag.
Look at what kind of hat I'm wearing right
I
here.
saw that.
You want to read that, Ben? What's it say?
Sea Arc boats, man.
Sea Arc. Man, me and Brent have a I love it so much. Me and Brent have a 26-foot Sea Arc boat with a 300 horsepower Suzuki,
Whoa.
fully covered. I mean, it's just shy of Noah's Ark. And,
Battleship.
And we are going on a 200 plus mile expedition down the Mississippi River, like our forefathers, Davy Crockett, Holt Collier.
Yep.
Just starting listing names. They've been there.
All the cool
Mark Twain,
kids.
Daniel Boone.
Yeah.
They've been there. And
Eisenhower.
we're going on a deer hunt, catfishing trip, duck hunting trip on the Mississippi River.
Wow.
And at some point in the years to come, perhaps people could see this.
Yeah.
Through digital imagery.
It's going to be
It's gonna be good.
Yep.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to
Is
it.
Sea Arc, are they up here?
No, where's Sea Arc at?
Monticello.
Yeah, they're in Monticello, Arkansas.
Monticello, Arkansas. Good folks.
I was telling Steve Ranella about our Sea Arc boat, and Steve was like, I have a Sea Arc boat. And I said, well, they're from Arkansas. And yeah, Steve has a Sea Arc.
You get a lot of boat companies in Arkansas.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What happens, these guys work for like Ranger and they learn the business and then they move down here and start their own. That might not be how all this works, but you
Right.
see it in a
In
lot
other
of different
industries.
areas.
Yeah.
A good friend of mine, a college friend of mine, has got the Express boat in Hot Springs and in Ranger boats and that boat. And there's probably one or two that I'm forgetting.
Is War Eagle made in Arkansas?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's one of the best duck boats there used to be.
Sea Arc is they're good stuff. A lot of good folks down there. I've been down there several times, and I've gotten real close with the folks that are building our boat. And man, they are absolutely focused on making boats and stuff that we can use, and a lot of folks can use out there on the big water.
It's
Yeah.
26
Duck-
foot. You
That's a
wouldn't
big
want
boat.
much smaller, would you?
Well, you wouldn't want much bigger, really, for a pleasure craft, just because it would be too big. That's a big boat.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's a big boat. I mean, it's made for the Mississippi River. I mean, that's what that. Am I right, Brent?
Mhm, absolutely.
I mean
Yeah.
that's a river boat.
That
that's
is a Mississippi River boat.
I mean,
Your
that's
cousin-
that's longer than this room we're in.
Your cousin had a 23 foot, and he had plans to go down the Mississippi. I don't remember if he ever did it, but 23 I think would be a minimum.
Yeah.
I mean, it can get dangerous out there.
The river's super low right now. The river. That's the only bummer about it for the next little while. The river's going to be really low, which I mean won't make any difference. It's big enough for us to get down it. But Mississippi River, she's a going dry. Preacher man says it's the end of time. Mississippi River, she's a going dry.
Yeah. Yeah.
What's the rest of the song?
That's Hank Jr.
Is it
Oh,
Country
yeah.
Boy?
Country Boy
Yeah.
Can't Survive.
That was the class song for the senior class right ahead of me.
Is that right?
That's cool.
Well, guys,
That's cool.
thanks for
Cat
coming.
tells me
Brent,
to
good to
flower.
see you. Ben, Dad, Misty,
Thanks,
great to
Tim.
see everyone.
Good to see you, Clay.
Have a great week, everybody.
See ya.
Adios.
I'm sure a lot of you guys remember the old ceremonial hunting tradition of eating the heart out of the first animal you kill. Meat from those organs are among the most nutrient-rich foods on the planet. You can get those same benefits your ancestors craved via convenient daily capsules from Heart and Soil. Find out more at heartandsoil.co. And remember, use code MeatEater for 10% off your purchase.
Outdoor adventure won't wait for engine problems. Things like hard starts, rough performance, and lost fuel economy are often caused by fuel gum and varnish buildup. Seafoam can help your engine run better and last longer. Simply pour a can in your gas tank. Hunters and anglers rely on Seafoam to keep their engines running the way it should the entire season. Pick up a can of Seafoam today at your local auto parts store or visit seafoamworks.com to learn more.